So once upon a time, there was a kid named Harry Potter. And Harry Potter was growing up in a place where he didn't quite think he quite fit, but wasn't sure. He lived under a staircase, and he lived with a family that he had sometimes trouble relating to. But the thing about Harry was that he had a recognition that the world around him was somehow different. Ernest Holmes says, "The universe is alive, aware, and awake." And that's what Harry Potter experienced from time to time. Even when those around him, may have not reinforced that. But he felt like the universe was alive, aware, and awake. It was filled with some sort of energy, some sort of magic. And so he lived his life, and he tried to sort things out, and there were times where he made the best of things, and there were times when maybe he wasn't quite so happy. Then he began to receive letters from owls, we can call them angels, and these letters were inviting him to come to a place. But Harry wasn't open to that at that particular time. He was confused. These letters were inviting him to a place where he could learn even more about himself, even more about this universe as he felt it inside. The place was called Hogwarts. It was a great school of wizardry, of magic, sorcery. And so he went along, and he didn't pay much attention to the letters. And one day, a great big, hulking, bearded guy showed up. A great big, hulking, bearded guy showed up. A great big, hulking, bearded guy showed up. Named Hagrid. And Hagrid came through the door, and he was talking to Harry, and he told Harry that he was a wizard. That Harry was not a muggle. And Harry said, "What's a muggle?" And he said, "Well, a muggle is the non-magical folk, and you're a wizard." And Harry found this hard to believe, and Hagrid talked about all those letters he'd sent, but Harry had not seen the letters. And Hagrid said, "Harry, was there ever a time where you felt special? Where you felt that the universe around you was special? Where you felt like you didn't quite belong?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I can take you to a place where you can begin to investigate those truths. Because what you know about the universe and what you know about the world around you is the truth. It is a magical, mystical place. It is a place that is alive, aware, and awake." And so along the line, Harry decided to go, and he received this, his magic wand. And he went to a place to learn how to use the magic wand. Now, if you read the story or watch the movie, you find out that the magic wand, not only did he find the magic wand, but the magic wand found him. And that's significant, because what we know in our teaching is that the magic wand is our I am. It is our belief. And the reason it's significant that that voice find us, because that is our authentic voice. This is who and what we are. And this is what operates in this universe filled with energy, with awakeness, aliveness, and awareness. What Harry Potter discovered was that he went to a place that validated what he had known, that the world was filled with an invisible force, an invisible power. and that this was his birthright. You see, we sometimes are all Harry Potter. We sometimes feel like we're living under the stairs, which is a representation of restricted thinking, race consciousness. Sometimes we don't feel like we belong. Sometimes I meet people who say, I don't think I was born to the right family. I have to admit, I felt that too myself sometimes. And yet, there is something that we know somehow that there is magic. We recognize that this universe is more than what we see. One of the things that Hagrid pointed out to Harry was, he said, have things ever come about because of your thinking? And Harry said, yeah, that's true. Things have come about because of my thinking. And this is part of the realization that those things were happening long before Harry got his magic wand. Because he was the conduit of working with all of this mystery and all of this magic. When Harry went to Hogwarts, he wasn't given anything that he didn't have. He was taught how to work with what he had always had. And that's true of this teaching. If you're coming in the door today asking us to give you something you don't have, sorry, I don't have it. But I can offer you some ideas to use what you already have, which is this, your word, your belief system. So we are, in this center, in the magic wand business. Because we know that there is a magic wand that is your magic wand that maybe you haven't quite found yet, but you will. I remember the excitement. I watched the movie. I own the Harry Potter movies, and I watched the first one. I haven't watched it in a few years, and I watched it recently. And I saw how excited the kids were when they got to go to Hogwarts, and they were riding the train. And I don't know if you remember, they had to get on the train at the 9 3/4 gate, and they had to run into the brick wall. And when they ran into the brick wall, this whole world opened up to them. And they boarded the train, and they were so excited. And they were eating the magical jelly beans, and they were talking, and they were riding the train, and they were going to Hogwarts. And when they got to Hogwarts, there was this incredible castle that opened up, and it was so enchanted and so magical. And I remember being that excited when I found this teaching. I remember this teaching opening up to me like a magical, mystical castle that validated the fact that I was a wizard, that I was a child of God, that I was a metaphysician. What does the word metaphysician mean? Someone who studies the science of God. Someone who practices the science of God. Someone who is ready with their magic wand. And I remember walking into it was called religious science, science of God, science of religion, and discovering my magic wand. I finally read the letters that had been coming to me for a long time. I finally met Hagrid, and then I turned into Hagrid. You know, one of the greatest things about being a minister or a practitioner or anyone, a good friend, a prayer partner, is to sit down and have the magic wand talk. And to recognize that no matter what's going on in our life, we have this incredible power to use these invisible forces that we are surrounded with that are the very essence of life. There's nothing more wonderful than telling people, right where you are is holy ground. Right where you are angels. Right where you are is the power of spirit. Right where you are is magic. You are magic. On Friday, I had a new granddaughter enter the world. Her name is Abigail. And I christen her Abby, whether my daughter likes it or not. My daughter, who lives in Houston, flooded my phone with all kinds of photos. I mean, right out of the chute. You know what I'm saying? That delivery room was full of cell phones, and they were cranking out the pictures. Every angle. Okay. And at some point, I see little Abby, and she's got that little cap they put on them to keep their head warm. And she's laying there so peacefully. And I looked at her, and I thought of Harry Potter. And as much as I love her, and as much as I would like her life to be absolutely pristine, I know there are times where she's going to feel like she lives under the stairs. I know there are going to be times where she doesn't feel she belongs. I know that there's going to be times where she's not certain of who and what she is. But I also know that there are times where she is going to feel very special. She's going to feel that the world around her is magical. She's going to feel that there is no one quite like her in this universe. And what is the gift that I would love to give her? The magic wand. I would love her to know the truth of her power. To know that she is not a muggle. That she is a magical being. That's what this teaching is. What I love about this teaching was that I walked into this teaching, and it was there to validate who I truly was. There to validate and to honor my path. There to validate and honor my word, my individuality, and to remind me of just how magical I am. And that everything has meaning. Everything has meaning. I remember growing up in religions where I felt like, and it wasn't the fault of the religion, it was something I figured God lived at the place I went. Back there behind the baptismal tank, and was kind of looking out at us, you know what I'm saying? And this teaching made it very clear that God was right where I was. Right where Abby is. Right where Abby is. Absolutely filled with magic. I wanted to combine a quote this week of Ernest Holmes and Charles Fillmore of Unity. And so this is what I put together. A practitioner of spiritual truth knows that truth. And this self-knowingness rises into their consciousness by realizing that the children of spirit are born of infinite potentiality and not of matter. Duality has produced dis-ease. An understanding of unity, our universal birthright, of knowing God is right where we are, heals. That's what heals. What was it that healed Harry Potter? Finding out and remembering who he was. What is it that heals us? Finding out and knowing who we truly are. And that we are magic. One of the things I love about our teaching is that we have people here who walk around with magic wands all the time. And when I'm low, and when things aren't quite going right, and when I feel like I'm living under the stairs, or maybe I feel like I'm not quite with the right family, then one of these people will jump forward with their magic wand like Hagrid and remind me of who I am. That's our prayer ministry. That's our prayer partner ministry. People who can know the truth for us. Here at Hogwarts. I'm going to change the sign soon. And that person today from our prayer ministry is Eloise Newell.